What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Happy Saturday. Hope you're doing well. I was thinking about, I'm always thinking about something. But today I was real like, this is a very serious mental, just a mental process that I had today that I wanted to share with you. And the mental, like when I so I'm sitting here, right, and I'm at Target and I'm reading through this shadow work journal that was on the shelves of Target, which was a very interesting journal. It had really great details and it broke things down well. And after I read that journal, I went and I began to ponder on some of the information that was enclosed within the journal. And when we really think about how we influence others and the power of our influence and how it applies to our natal chart, and what makes it so much more easier for me when I process different experiences day to day and the influence that people have on me and the influence that I have on others regarding the natal chart is that there will always be one way or the other, your perspective, the opposite perspective, supporting perspectives, and like perspectives that there will be some type of, not opposition, but like some type of discord or some type of like debate. But there could be a sense of an agree to disagree, or where you can convince. And this is when you influence someone or you impact someone. And this is why, and to relate this to astrology, there's a 360 degree natal chart. We all have our same 360 degrees. And there's only 12 zodiacs. Some can argue a few kids, but regarding the 12 zodiac, there's only 30 degrees per angle. And there's only, these systems. So when you really factor in how you're influencing and how others are influencing you, there's only so much that you're gonna go through, especially with certain planets. So a lot of times when we can feel overwhelmed that, man, I won't be able to get through this circumstance, or man, I'm back. I had a slight interruption. But when we go through the challenges that we go through, despite what time, like I was giving the example earlier with teenagers, because teenage years is a huge shift in teenage years. And every decade, when we shift from our 20s to our 30s, from our 30s to our 40s, 50s, and so on, that's a huge transition. So going through that transition, those transitions, there are stumbling blocks or milestones that we must overcome to adapt to the next stage in our lives. So with dealing with the 360 and dealing with when you understand sciences like metaphysics and astrology, or when you're understanding even down to the body with understanding different yoga poses, understanding that fasting and how fasting brings clarity. You can't really see a situation clear if you're you're over consumed with, and that can be anything outside of you, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, whether it's tobacco, whether it's like any substance, drug. It could be gambling, or it could just be rather you're not even home enough. You're ripping and running the streets constantly. You can be working too much, or you can be in a bed too much, or you can be doing anything too much that blocks a new perspective. And a new perspective brings a new way to see something. And this is what I was talking about when I came back, talking about the influences and how you're either going to get the opposite view of you, and certain, if you look at it using astrology, which is powerful, you can always understand your situation when you really analyze your situation. And I'm not saying, because analyzing do not block the experience. I learned that the hard way. Mercury conjunct the South Node in Libra, Sun in Libra in the 9th house, Sun in the 8th. Trust me, I know. You cannot outthink. You can't think through an experience. You go through the experience. However, you can always strategize on your life after you go through experiences. And one thing that I'm recognizing, your natal chart is going to only attract so much for you. Even when you're using your fire signs and you create a new vision and you're getting out of old ways of feeling about things, and you're detaching from your water situations, your past, your water houses, whatever you may have with your water signs going on. Even when you go into these new visions with your fire energy, it's still your 360 degrees. And this is something that I was thinking about earlier, even with Saturn, like Saturn transits. Once you start understanding what you're manifesting and you begin to take responsibility for what you're manifesting, and you're starting to understand your karma and the reality, because your karma shows up in the reality, not in what you're thinking or feeling. It's your reality. That is the karma. It's after you've thought and felt and experienced. The karma is what's coming behind you. So once you begin to analyze the patterns, because there's only going to be so many patterns. You only got Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus. Those are the only earth signs you have, and you only have those houses. So once you know your houses and what houses those are in, your manifestations are only going to be in those houses. Like, you're not... I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. A lot of spiritual community and a lot of, the conscious community for many years, like, basically going la la land with what we're capable of accomplishing in life. And it's not to discourage us. And I'm not even saying this to be a Debbie Downer, but there are limits to life. That's why Saturn is also limitations, boundaries. We have limits and we have boundaries. And Saturn transits are so slow. It's only so much you're going to be able to overcome within one lifetime or experience. And it depending on, I'm not even going to get into generational curses. And I'm not even trying to be negative. All I'm saying is that I'm actually coming on to be positive. Because once you master your own energy and you take responsibility for your own energy, and then you start to go through the experiences with awareness, the good, the bad, everything, and you begin to strategize, because you shouldn't be making the same mistakes over and over. Once certain patterns, once you become spiritually adept, and you become mature, and you know the knowledge, you understand metaphysics and what's going on in front of you and behind the scenes, and you understand yourself, where you come from, your history, your foundation, and then you understand the possibilities. Now, of course, you can reach beyond certain boundaries. You can. I'm not saying you can't. However, there are still limits. So once you begin to see these cycles of the limits that you're trying to reach beyond, but you recognize that there are things representing that, you're not passing this. And then you begin to say, you know what? Okay, so let me perfect where I am and slow down a bit and build from where I am. So I have the vision. I'm not going to shortball myself or I'm not going to shortchange myself. Shortball. I'm not going to shortchange myself. I have the vision. I got the ethic. And I understand what's there, you know, on a practical sense, reality wise, but I also understand my own grit, my internal, my emotions, you know, the things that I can do as an individual to maneuver through, you know, and with, I'm not going to get into the planets. We'll get into another video about that. I'm just saying, as an overview, when you see your 360, what's going on in your world, because we all have our own world. And once you begin to analyze, okay, this is my 360. It's only so, with these angles, which are transits, I'm noticing a pattern with my oppositions, right? Which my support. And I understand my challenges. And one thing that I always recognize when I go through challenges is that you will always have support. And this is one thing that negative people, and it don't matter how much you tell them, a negative person gonna be a negative. You just know this. If you understand balance, you always have support. So don't be naive and ignore the negativity. No, you pay close attention to your haters, okay? But you always recognize and appreciate the support, baby. And you thank God all the time for your support. And you recognize, okay, the support, teamwork make the dream work. Don't shit on your support if you notice that maybe you're gifted in a certain arena and then you're rising up. No, never, ever, ever look down on your support because you've risen up over time or something. You may have, you know, a benefit or something, or a good or a positive transit. Don't do that. And that's the saying, like the old folks used to always say, don't never bite the hand that feeds you. You know, so when you recognize you go through certain transits, and this is something that I do, I'm not just saying that, we always have support. It don't matter what we go through and throughout our transits. I don't give a dang if it's a Saturn. I literally had a Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter. Jupiter was debilitating in Capricorn in 2020. Conjunct my Mars on my ascendant. My natal ascendant Mars conjunct Capricorn. Opposite my moon. Square my Mercury. Square my North Node. Like, it was in, and you know what, I'm not going to get into that. That is a kill. Like, you can die from transits like that. That is not no little small transit where it's just like, oh, okay. It was just like, no, those are transits that can take you up out of here if you do not recognize your support in life. You hear me? That is not a play transit on your ascendant, because your ascendant is your body. Is your personnel. Is your body. It's not all these other houses. Your ascendant is your body. I went through that take you up out of their trance, right? So this, I'm telling you from firsthand experience, that when you're going through harsh conditions, you got to recognize the support. I don't care what the circumstances. I don't care if the support is a little support. I don't give a dang if you got a Chiron sextile and you got a stellium, because stelliums, y'all catch it the worst. I got to do a video about stelliums. When y'all have harsh transits and you have a stellium, oh my goodness. Like people who had stelliums in the cardinal signs in 2020, like that, those are very harsh conditions to deal with. And this video is for astrologers. So if you don't understand astrology, please, you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. Okay? I'm not crazy. I promise you I'm not. Okay? I'm not. But it's really serious what I'm talking about. I already know, like, even for people who aren't really versed in astrology, this is the future. It is. This is Aquarian New Age knowledge. I'm so thankful that I was all right with being crazy. Since I was about 26 years old, I stood in the paint, and I continued into my studies. I continued, studying to show myself approved. And eventually, once we studied to show ourselves, time tells the Saturn too. So it's like, I just have to really express that no matter what you're going through or no matter what transit it is, You always recognize that you're going to always have sextiles and trines. And despite the oppositions, because the oppositions can get very heavy when you're dealing with certain elements and when you're dealing with certain planets. You got to be mentally aware to be appreciative and show gratitude to what's supporting you. And don't ever look down on where you come from. Look forward and look up. You know what I'm saying? Always have new visions. Always spark new. You know, I'm a cardinal cross. So I'm always sparking new light. However, you always understand your foundation and what you're standing on. Because of you sparking all these visions and you're not foundated, you're going to go berserk. And then everybody going to be calling you crazy. Bye, y'all.